This is The Frequency. It's Friday, November 21st. I'm Mary Engish. In today's episode, more on possible school redistricting. A kid governor is elected. Local arts organizations take part in a nationwide creative resistance, and a bit of parenting advice from a local musician as part of the Friday song. Some news first. More than 1,000 fifth graders cast their ballots this month for Vermont's first ever kid governor. And the winner is, drumroll please, Rosalyn Fortin from Highgate Elementary. That's in Highgate Center. Vermont Secretary of State Sarah Copeland-Hanzas announced the winner this week. Fortin ran on a platform addressing homelessness. Her plan of action includes things that kids across the state can participate in, like organizing community potlucks to help feed people in need. And she'll serve a one-year term, and 6 other finalists will serve in the Kid Governor's Cabinet. They'll all take their oath of offices at the Montpelier State House in January. It will probably be a few years before Vermont's new education reform law forces small school districts to consolidate into larger ones. But some districts around the state, they're already talking with their neighbors about merging. Rich Monteroso is with the South Hero School Board, and they're trying to form a larger school district with some nearby districts.
We are very small schools. We're very small districts. So there's just a lot of anxiety here because we don't know what it's going to mean for us.
Monteroso says grouping his district with others could help stave off a state-imposed merger that may not serve students as well. Federal prosecutors are seeking the death penalty against a Stowe man accused of killing 2 people in 2023. Vermont Public's Liam Elder Connors reports that Theodore Bland is accused of fatally shooting 2 21-year-olds from Massachusetts.
Federal prosecutors cited several factors as justification for seeking the death penalty. They say Bland killed more than one person, and in one instance his actions were, quote, especially heinous. Police found Jaheim Solomon and Eric White's bodies in a wooded area in Eden in October 2023. The 2 Massachusetts men disappeared under suspicious circumstances while traveling through several Vermont towns. Bland has not been arraigned on the new charges filed this week. His attorneys declined to comment. Bland is the second person in Vermont in recent months to face a potential death sentence. Federal prosecutors are also pursuing the death penalty against a 21-year-old woman accused of fatally shooting a Border Patrol agent. Liam Elder Connors, Vermont Public.
And we want to share this update following the conversation that we shared with Chris Smith-Time from Essex Pride about Transgender Day of Remembrance. I had asked Chris about potential legislation from the Trump administration State Department that would move to eradicate certain gender markers on documents like passports, especially the X gender marker used by some trans folks. Well, the State Department has since announced it will honor current gender markers on documents like passports until they expire. When we come back, we'll learn more about a wave of creative resistance that's happening this weekend nationwide and right here in Vermont. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to The Frequency, where support comes from 802 Spirits. When you shop at one of the 80-plus independently owned 802 Spirits stores across Vermont, you're supporting local Vermont communities. Learn more about how 802 Spirits contributes to the spirit of Vermont and the Vermont General Fund at 802spirits.com. And Springfield Cadillac GMC in Springfield, Vermont, offering a wide range of pre-owned electric vehicles starting at under $20,000. View all EV inventory at springfieldgmc.com.
Arts organizations across the country are implementing a wave of nationwide creative resistance against certain Trump administration policies, and some Vermont theaters are joining in. The protest, called Fall of Freedom, beckons arts communities across the country to unite, quote, in defiance of authoritarian forces sweeping the nation. And in response, artists and arts organizations like Artistry in South Pomfret and Burlington's Flint Theater will stage play readings and exhibitions this Friday and Saturday. Jay Wall is the Flynn's executive director and joins me now to talk about the organization's participation in the event. Hi there, Jay.
Hi, hello.
Well, let me ask you this first question. You selected this staged reading of a Sinclair Lewis story, It Can't Happen Here. Tell us more about this 1935 novel and how it was adapted, and what is the Flynn's treatment of it?
Sinclair Lewis, the novelist, satirist, has a history with Vermont. He had lived here with his wife at some point in his career and life, and wrote this book when he was witnessing the rise of fascism in Europe in the 30s. And he set it in a fictional Vermont town where he talked about what is a small town's relationship to larger nationalist forces in the world. When I was thinking about what we could do, and we decided to host a reading of a play. It's not all the pomp and circumstance of a play performance. There's no fancy lights and costumes. It's really almost a community gathering where we're going to sit in a big room together and read this story together. It's particularly special because we didn't just invite actors to participate, although we certainly have really good ones in the show. But we decided to invite community leaders and community voices. So Murrow Weinberger, the former mayor of Burlington, is going to be an actor in this, as is Carol Odie, who's a state rep.
Yeah. It was a pretty unique decision to have the play performed by a mix of actors and politicians. Talk a little bit more about that. Was that like top of mind first thing, or like how did that come to you to have that mix of actors?
It kind of was top of mind. I just imagine if we were going to participate in what I thought was how are the arts participating in this conversation? It's a pretty big and potent and timely conversation. What is our role to do that? And I define the arts as a container for dialogue. Ultimately, that's what an artistic project is. And so I take that very seriously. And in this case, I knew that if we were going to host this particular container of dialogue, it should be with people who aren't just in the theater. It should be people who are connected to speaking out for a variety of communities across the state. And that was really going to be critical here.
Yeah, not to put you on the spot, but can you got a quick excerpt of the play that you can read? Do you have the book handy?
I do. It is true that in 1936, there were race riots in our cities, a vast income gap between the rich and poor, a major drought in several states, a wave of right-wing populism sweeping the country, millions of new immigrants, and foreign wars creating global terror. But that's where the similarities end. We urge you to reserve judgment before making any hasty historical parallels. It's dark and funny and true and unusual because this wasn't written now. It was written 90 years ago. The Flynn often thinks about how do we make sure that we represent what's going on in the performing arts world around the world in Vermont. How do we bring that here, and how do we represent Vermont to the larger world? And that's a kind of role we play as the state's largest arts organization. And so we're really proud to be able to represent Vermont in participating in this national movement as we read a play that takes place in Vermont.
That's Jay Wall, Executive Director of the Flynn Theater. Thank you so much, Jay. Really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you.
The Flynn Theater will stage Sinclair Lewis's It Can Happen Here, directed by Margot Whitcomb. That's a free event on Saturday, November 22nd. And the Artistry in South Pomfret performing small staged works. Those are stage readings of plays by 3 local playwrights at the Grange Theater, and that's tonight and tomorrow. And because it's Friday, it's time for a bit of local music. Vermont band Luminous Crush is made up of Laura Vox and Bay Campbell. They play original bluegrass and dream pop and indie rock, and they've been around since 2015, releasing 8 albums over those 10 years, with a new album coming out soon. This song is from their 2024 album called Bury the Rock, and the song is Indulging the Artist, with Laura Vox providing some background into the tune. Here's a taste.
I wrote this one as a thank you to my mom, who never yelled at me for drawing spaceship controls on my bedroom door and around my windows with magic markers. From a very young age, I looked at any flat, blank surface and saw a canvas waiting to be filled with fantastic scenes from my wild imagination. Growing up as the youngest of 5 on a Vermont farm, left to ramble through the fields, explore the woods around the property, and amuse myself by reading books under trees and imagining dragons in the clouds. My parents trusted me with that freedom to create my own world, encourage creativity in young people by allowing them to, quote, make mistakes. By doing this, you are helping young people grow into confident, compassionate, and creative beings. As a mother of 2 grown daughters myself, I'm sure they will testify to some of the positives of growing up in a very messy but very joyful home.
When you were a child and your mom let you draw on the wall, what's wrong
Vermont band Luminous Crush with their song Indulging the Artist. That's The Frequency. We had additional reporting from Liam Elder Connors and Howard Weiss Tisman. Adia Golston produces the podcast with Stephanie Colombini editing. Peter Engish composed music from today's episode. And this note on the way out, next week we'll have a bit of a different schedule to reflect the holiday. We'll be back next week with The Frequency on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, but we'll be off on Thursday and Friday. Oh, and thanks so much to the folks who've reached out with ideas and suggestions as we tweak and reshape this daily news podcast. Stay in touch at thefrequency@vermontpublic.org. We'll talk to you later. Have a great weekend.
Sources and methods, the crown jewels of the intelligence community. Shorthand for how do we know what's real? Who told us? If you have those answers, you're on the inside, and NPR wants to bring you there. From the Pentagon to the State Department to spy agencies, listen to understand what's really happening and what it means for you. Sources and Methods, the new national security podcast from NPR.